Love by itself is never enough. You can love a man with every part of your heart. You can show up for him in all the ways that matter. You can cook his favorite meals, listen to him when he's down, give your body, your time, your energy, sometimes even putting his happiness before your own. And still, he might pull away. He might go quiet, become emotionally distant, or even walk away altogether. Not because your love wasn't real, not because we didn't give enough, but because love alone doesn't satisfy everything he's silently craving. There are certain emotional needs that run deeper for men than just being loved. And when those needs are not felt, when they go unnoticed, no matter how much love you pour into the relationship, something starts to fade. These needs are subtle but powerful. Most women aren't even aware they exist. They're not taught this. No one tells them. But once you see them, once you really understand what makes a man feel emotionally fulfilled, it opens up a whole new level of connection. A level where love doesn't just survive, it thrives. Where he doesn't just stay, he becomes devoted. Where he doesn't just care, he starts needing you in a way he doesn't even fully understand. The first emotional need, and the most misunderstood, is respect. And I don't mean polite respect. I don't mean that surface level, I respect you energy that people say because it's expected. I mean deep, genuine respect. The kind that is felt. The kind that's earned. The kind that makes a man feel seen. Not just as your partner, but as a man you actually admire. Ask most women what they believe a man needs in a relationship, and you'll usually hear things like love, loyalty, maybe affection. Those things do matter. But if you ask a man who's honest with himself, a man who's self-aware, he'll tell you what he truly needs is respect, and not the kind you hand out just to keep peace. He wants to earn it. And he wants to feel it from you without begging for it. This doesn't mean putting him on a pedestal or agreeing with everything he says. That's not respect. That's passivity. True respect comes from how you see him and respond to him when no one else is watching. It's how you treat his ideas. It's how you talk about him when he's not in the room. It's whether you believe in his decisions, even when you don't fully understand them yet. Men are wired, both through biology and through experience, for purpose, for capability, and for contribution. That doesn't mean every man wants to be a millionaire or a boss. It means he needs to feel like the woman beside him sees him as capable, like she trusts his judgment, like she believes in his ability to handle life. If you constantly doubt his choices, try to correct him or speak to him like he needs managing, he might not say anything. He might stay quiet. But inside he starts to feel small around you. Not because you're loud, but because you're not making space for his inner strength. Think about this. Imagine he gives you a suggestion to help with something, and instead of saying, okay, let me think about that, you quickly snap back with, that's not going to work. You just don't understand. What does that do to him? It doesn't just end the conversation. It chips away at something inside him. He doesn't feel heard. He feels dismissed. And worse, he starts to feel like there's no point in offering anything at all. The thought that enters his mind is, why try if she's already decided I'm wrong? And when a man starts thinking that way, he slowly checks out. He may stay physically, but emotionally, he begins to drift. Here's something most people miss. Men don't crave compliments as much as they crave acknowledgement. He doesn't want blind praise. He wants to feel like your respect for him is based on something real. He wants to know that when he earns it, you feel it. He wants to feel like you admire the way he thinks, the way he solves problems, the way he shows up even when life isn't easy. And yes, he wants to be challenged too. A man doesn't need a cheerleader who just claps at everything. He wants a partner who brings insight, who calls him higher, but does it from a place of faith in who he already is, not from a place of doubt. When a man feels respected, truly respected, something powerful happens. He steps into his masculinity more fully. He becomes more present, more committed, more emotionally generous, not because you demanded it, but because he feels safe to be that version of himself with you. And when that safety exists, love stops being hard work. It becomes a natural flow. Obsession becomes effortless. He starts wanting to give, to protect, to provide, not just physically, but emotionally, because he feels like the man he wants to be when he's with you. That kind of respect. It isn't loud, it doesn't need to be announced. It's in your eyes when you listen to him. It's in the way you give him space to lead sometimes, even when you're strong enough to lead yourself. It's in the way you ask his opinion, not because you can't decide, but because you value his mind. And this is just one piece. When a man feels respect from the woman he loves, everything else in the relationship deepens. His loyalty sharpens, his desire becomes more focused, his guard drops. But when that respect is missing, when it feels like no matter what he does, it's not enough to earn your admiration, he starts pulling away, slowly and silently, not because he doesn't care, but because something in him no longer feels safe to be open. So yes, love matters, but it has to live inside something stronger. Emotional respect, emotional safety, and emotional connection. And the first step to all of those is seeing the man beside you, not just as your partner, but as someone worthy of being deeply valued, even in his flaws, even in his learning, even when he doesn't get it all right. That's the foundation. That's what makes love last. But say it in a way that quietly tells him, I believe in you. Not in a way that says, let me show you how to be better. Because there's a big difference. One lifts him up, the other pressures him. When you respect a man after you've seen his flaws, after you've watched him fall and get back up, after you've seen him struggle but still try, that kind of respect hits completely differently. It doesn't just touch his pride, it touches something deeper. It reaches into his spirit. That kind of respect doesn't feel surface level, it feels earned. And when a man feels earned admiration, something inside him anchors to you. He doesn't just appreciate it, it creates a powerful bond, not because you made him feel perfect, but because you made him feel accepted as he is, even in his imperfections. Still, respect alone isn't always enough to keep that emotional closeness alive, because there's another need, a deeper one. And when I say deeper, I mean it's so wired into a man's identity that when you meet it even once, he doesn't forget. You stay in his memory. You live in his mind, not just as a woman he liked, but as the woman who got him in a way that few people ever do. And no, it's not just love, it's not just sex, those are strong, but this goes underneath all of that. Let's talk about that second emotional need. The one that changes the way you see men forever. The need to feel like a hero. Now I know, you might hear that and think, he doesn't need to be a hero. Life isn't a fairy tale. And I get that, but hear me out. This has nothing to do with saving princesses or acting like he's some movie action star. This isn't about dramatic gestures. It's about something quieter but more powerful. It's about a man's need to feel useful, to feel capable, to feel like he's important in the life of someone he loves. It's about knowing that who he is matters. You see, many men are raised to believe they need to prove themselves through doing. They don't always know how to say I love you with words. Instead, they say it through action, fixing things, protecting, showing up when it counts. That's how they feel worthy. That's how they express emotion without having to say a word. When you give a man the chance to show up for you, to offer help, to be your support, to step in even in small ways, he doesn't just feel useful, he feels seen. He feels like, I have a place here. I bring something valuable to her life. And that feeling, it means everything to him. Ever notice how his eyes light up when you tell him, I feel so safe when you're around, or thank you for handling that, I really appreciate it. It might seem like a small compliment, but it lands big, because it tells him he made a difference. That he protected, that he provided, not always in a money way, but in a presence way, an emotional strength kind of way. And when a man feels like he's your solid ground, your calm in the storm, your quiet strength in the background, something inside him relaxes. He steps into his deeper masculine energy. He doesn't feel like he has to prove himself. He feels like he's being himself. That's the gift. That's when he stops just dating you and starts choosing you over and over. But here's the thing. A man who doesn't feel needed, even if he's loved, can start to feel replaceable. And that feeling, it's dangerous. Because when a man feels like anyone could do what he does for you, he starts to pull away. Not always intentionally. Sometimes he doesn't even know why. But he starts to feel invisible. An emotional distance creeps in, even when love is still present. That's why the hero instinct matters. Not because you're weak, but because you're letting him be strong for you in the ways that feel natural to him. You're not shrinking yourself. You're creating space for him to rise. And when you do that, he stands taller, his voice gets deeper, his energy shifts. He feels more like a man, not because you made yourself small, but because you've reminded him he's valued, that he counts. Now, let's move into the third emotional need. This one, it's hidden, quiet. You won't always notice it because he often hides it behind jokes, distractions, or silence. But trust me, it's there. And it's powerful. The need for emotional safety without judgment. This is a big one. Most men, whether they admit it or not, grew up hearing some version of be strong, don't cry, man up. The message was clear. Real men don't talk about emotions. Real men don't feel scared. They don't get overwhelmed. They don't break down. And so they don't. They learn to push it down. They become masters at pretending they're okay, even when they're not. So they grow up fighting silent battles, carrying quiet pain, walking through life with a strong face and a heavy heart. Behind the smile, behind the jokes, behind the steady hands, there's often exhaustion, fear, pressure, self-doubt. But they hide it because they've been taught no one wants to see it, that showing it would mean weakness. And yet, under all that armor, there's still a boy inside. A boy who just wants to say, I'm scared, I'm tired, I don't know if I'm good enough. And the truth is, when a man trusts you enough to show that part of himself, it's not just a sign of love, it's a sign of deep vulnerability. It's him saying, I feel safe with you, safe enough to be seen. What you do in that moment matters more than you think. If you meet it with judgment, or tell him to toughen up, or try to fix it too quickly, he'll shut down. Not because he's mad, but because you confirmed his fear that even here, even with you, he has to hide. But if you meet it with stillness, with understanding, with kindness, something opens, he softens, he feels accepted. When you hold that space for him, not as his therapist, but as his safe place, he begins to associate you with peace. Not excitement, not drama, not performance, just peace. And a man will crave that more than anything. A man will stay where he feels emotionally safe, where he feels like he doesn't have to perform, where he can breathe. That's how you become unforgettable. Not by doing everything for him, not by being perfect, but by being real, by seeing his pain and not turning away, by letting him be strong and scared, brave and unsure, and by loving him through both. But the world won't let him, so he hides it. He plays the role, he makes jokes, he shuts down, he gets quiet, he toughens up not